All right, I think I'm live. Yes, I am. All right, so this is my first YouTube live video ever, and truth be told, the only reason why I'm even doing this right now is because it came up in my morning meditation where I was sort of just asking for instructions and direction. So I wanted to talk about the thing that I get asked about the most, which is around, am I really using my intuition and how do I use my intuition? So I want to talk about a couple things, which is one, how to receive intuitive messages, two, how to tell the difference between your intuition and your ego, because that's another really popular question. And then three, how to use your intuition to attract your ideal soulmate clients. So these are the three things that I'm asked about all the time. So I figured if I'm going live here, I'm trying something new, why not do something that people always ask me about? So number one would be, how to receive intuitive messages. So the first things first is you should know that just like everything else in life, we are all unique individuals. So how we receive intuitive messages is also unique to us. So some people who are more visual can get intuitive hits more visually. Some people who are more auditory will get more intuitive hits auditory. Some people who are more left brain analytical will get thoughts that is just a deep knowing. So there's all different ways that we receive intuitive messages, and they're all unique to us. Also, when we start out using our intuition, understand that for some of us, it's going to come really easily, really quickly, really naturally. And for other people like myself, I never really thought I was born with intuition. I always thought it was really something cool for other people. But what I learned is that intuition is like a muscle. And the more that you practice using it, the stronger those muscles get. I like to compare using your intuition to like six-pack abs. Like we were literally all born with the same abdominal muscles, but some of us, like me, have like a little covering over it. You can't always see those ripped abs. So we have to work at it a little bit harder. If you are like me and you feel like I wasn't born with it, hang in there. I'm going to share some easy tips for how you can start to strengthen your intuitive muscles and use them as an entrepreneur to get really great, quick information that leads you towards the next best path. So a lot of people do ask, like, how do I know if I'm on the right path? You're never not on your path. You're always on your path. You're taking one foot in front of the other and you're making the right next move. There's never a wrong move. That's part of trusting your intuition, is really just trusting that everything is happening exactly when it's supposed to, for you, through you. So how to receive intuitive messages, it comes naturally. So notice something that you're already receiving. So are you really a visual person? Are you kinesthetic? You feel things in your body? Our body is a great indicator for how we receive messages. So sometimes we'll get like a little, whirly girly googly. I don't know what that word's in our stomach. We might get a little flutter in our chest. We might feel in our body different places. Similarly, like you might have like a quick visual or a word or a sound or a song. Sometimes you'll taste something or you'll smell something. So things that are already instinctually happening to you, that's likely a place where you want to lean more into those and develop those. The more you practice, the easier it gets. The thing is about intuition is that it speaks very softly and quietly. So the difference between your ego and your intuition is that generally what will happen is that you'll get an intuitive hit first. It'll be a soft, it'll be a subtle little message, and it'll be like, huh. And then almost instantaneously, ego steps in and is like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would we do that? So I'll give you an example. And this is something that I like to share with my students when I talk about intuition. So here we are. So it's kind of like if there was a beautiful sunny day out and there was a little whisper, was like, you might want to bring your umbrella. You might be thinking, it's perfectly sunny out. There's no reason to bring an umbrella. You'll logically think yourself out of that intuitive hit. And you would be right in some ways because, yeah, it's not raining out. There's no need for an umbrella. Logic will overrun and your ego will overrun your intuition. However, you think about it like, well, what's the harm in bringing an umbrella with me? Is it really that big of a deal? Not really. So if you have that intuitive hit to bring your umbrella and you go, whatever. All right, I'll just bring it. Throw it in your bag, throw it in the car, whatever. And the day goes on, the clouds start to come in and the sky gets all dark. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I trusted my intuition. Now I'm prepared. I have this umbrella, no problemo. So now think of a time where you had those little whispers and you didn't trust it. And we all have them. I have them myself, even though I've made a career of using my intuition. There are still times where I second guess myself and I'll later go, shoot, I really wish I didn't make that decision because I knew instinctively, intuitively that I should have made another choice. And so it's not that the universe is testing us, it's reflecting us. So if there's that little bit of self-doubt in there, it's going to show up with doubting yourself in your intuitive messages. So the best way to start practicing getting stronger with your intuition is to start listening, and all those little tiny little nudges, start listening to those little tiny nudges, because then it gets easier for you to listen to the bigger nudges. So when it comes to making a really big decision about your business and about putting yourself out there or creating another program or cutting off programs, when those hits show up for the big decisions, it's so much easier to make those with confidence. So how do you tell the difference? Your ego usually is louder and it comes second. Your intuition is softer and it goes first. So how do we start to develop that? We sit in silence so that we can listen. So for instance, this morning I sat and I did some meditation and prayer, asking about what are my next steps. And sometimes those messages look like images or shapes or a visual. Sometimes it's sound, sometimes it's words, sometimes it's taste. But for me today specifically, it showed up as do a YouTube live on intuition. I've never done a YouTube live. So this is a first for me. It's pushing me out of my comfort zone, but it also is something like, well, what's the harm in doing it? I do Facebook lives, I do Instagram lives. Is it really that different? Probably not. I mean, it's new and it's different, yes, but it's not that different. So I can say yes to those little instinctual intuitive nudges, and how you tell the difference. So the way that you get better is you practice sitting quietly. So my recommendation is to sit for 1 minute every single day to start listening to messages, because prayer is asking, meditation is listening. And so if you want to get better at listening, getting intuitive messages, you got to meditate and get some quiet time. Everybody has a minute every day, whether it's before you get out of bed in the morning, whether you're on the toilet, whether you're on a walk in nature, wherever you are, you're going to be getting time for yourself to just really listen. And lastly, how do you start to use your intuition to attract your ideal soulmate client? That gets easier and easier in time. And so part of what I just suggested about sitting in quiet meditation and listening and taking action then after, like I mentioned, I got a hit to do a YouTube live. Here I am doing the YouTube live. Hit action. Hit action. That's how you start to do it. And the more you develop it, the stronger you get, that you're going to start getting hits when you connect with your ideal soulmate client. So one of my favorite meditations that I have and I share with all my clients and people in my membership, Mastering Ascension, is called Attracting Soulmate Clients with Ease. It's also part of my Badass Business Bundle. It's a great meditation to literally plug you in to that energy of your soulmate client, the person who loves working with you, who loves to pay you for your services, and in turn, you love working with them. It's a wonderful relationship. And so when you're plugged into that soulmate client, you're plugged into that energy that is really expansive. And when you're plugged into that energy that is expansive, then you can connect with and ask, what is that next thing I need to do today to help you, to serve you, so that you can trust me, or so that you can take that next step with me on this journey, for you to buy this next program? How do I need to show up? Who do I need to be? What do I need to do? What do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? You get to ask really dynamic, really engaging questions energetically and receive those messages almost instantaneously. Sometimes before you even get the question out, it shows up for you. But sometimes you ask the question, you get nothing. And you think, well, obviously I'm not intuitive, something's wrong with me, but that's not true. What's actually happening is it's showing up for you in different ways. So some of the ways that it can show up for you is when you're out on your walk and you run into somebody, or you're out getting a coffee, or you see an old friend, or you get a phone call, or you see something on TV. It's like, oh, there's the answer. And you know it when you see it. So these are three sort of main ways that people have asked me about intuition. How do I know it's really my intuition? So we just kind of went over how to receive intuitive messages, all the different senses that you have. We learn how to tell the difference between our ego and our intuition, and we learn how to use your intuition to attract your soulmate clients. These are 3 things I love to talk about. This is obviously a very general overview of these topics. I love to go in much deeper with these topics in my mastermind, in my membership, and other places. If you're not already subscribed to the Aligned and Unstoppable podcast, I definitely recommend you check that out. Subscribe, download the podcast episodes. It's an amazing bridge between the woo-woo and it's like I call it a spiritual, a down-to-earth approach to woo and biz. So it's got the spirituality, it's got the business stuff all kind of woven in together. And I would love to invite you to check that out. Thank you for being here. For those of you who caught me live and those of you who are here watching the replay, this is my very first YouTube live. So it might be a little bit clunky, but it is what it is. Thank you for being here and lots of love to you. Make sure you click subscribe and I'll see you next time.